Good morning, this is Deepak. The problem for a lot of people is that their lives are too much like cruises, which they take every year, roaming in the sea from one place to the another. They are on a trip with no set destination, no charted course. They are in a holding pattern and they occupy their time pursuing pleasures or engaging in activities that don't have any lasting benefit. Meanwhile, they travel in circles. In the end, they finish no better than where they started. A cruise to nowhere may be a fun way to occupy a few days of vacation time, but it is no way to spend your life. You can't fulfill your purpose and grow towards your potential if you don't know what direction you should be going. You need to identify and sail towards your destination. In other words, you need to discover your dreams. When I look for a name of a person who identified and lived out his dream, I think of auto industry's pioneer and visionary Henry Ford. He asserted, the whole secret of a successful life is to find out what it is in one's destiny to do and then do it. Ford's dream grew out of his interest from boyhood. He had a passion for studying and tinkering with machinery. He taught himself about steam engines, clocks, and combustion engines. He traveled around the countryside doing repair work for free, just so he could get his hands on machines. Ford became increasingly intrigued by the idea of the automobile and he devoted more and more of his attention to it. In 1896, he built his first car in a shed behind his house. After that, he continued to think about how to improve his early efforts. And he also studied the work of other car builders, including that of Ransom Ford, who manufactured the first Oldsmobile in 1900. Ford grew his dream. His dream was to create an inexpensive, mass-produced automobile. Until then, the new horseless carriage had been an expensive luxury item available to only the rich. But Ford was determined to put the automobile within the reach of common person. In 1899, he helped form the Detroit Motor Company, but he soon left the company. However, he held on to his dream and his efforts finally paid off. In 1903, he organized the Ford Motor Company and began to produce the Model T. The first year, his company produced just under 6,000 cars. But only 8 years later, they produced more than 5 lakhs. And they managed to reduce the initial retail price from $850 to $360. Ford's dream became a reality. Ford had been called a genius and has been credited with the birth of assembly line and mass production. But no matter what he had been going for him, His greatest asset was his dream and willingness to devote himself to it. A dream does many things for us. Have you ever known a person who didn't have a clue concerning what she wanted in life, yet was highly successful? I haven't either. We all need something worthwhile to aim for. A dream provides us with that. It acts as a compass, telling us the direction we should travel. If you move in any direction other than towards your dream, you'll miss out on the opportunities necessary to be successful. Without a dream, we may struggle to see potential in ourselves because we don't look beyond our current circumstances. But with a dream, we begin to see ourselves in a new light. Every opportunity we meet, every resource we discover, every talent we develop becomes a part of our potential to grow towards that dream. The greater the dream, the greater the potential. Paul Hovey said, "A blind man's world is bounded by the limits of his touch, an ignorant man's world by the limits of his knowledge, a great man's world by the limits of his vision." If your vision, your dream is great, then so is your potential for success. A dream gives us hope for the future, and it also brings us power in the present. It makes it possible for us to prioritize everything we do. If you keep all your options open, at first it's fun to have so many possibilities open before you. It seems to be an excellent idea. But as time goes by, you can't make any progress because you spend all your time preserving the options rather than moving forward. A dream puts everything we do into perspective. Even the tasks that aren't exciting or immediately rewarding take on added value when we know they ultimately contribute to the fulfillment of a dream. I'm going to tell you a story of a reporter who talked to 3 construction workers pouring concrete at a building site. "What are you doing?" he asked the first worker. "I'm earning a paycheck," he grumbled. The reporter asked the same question to the second laborer, who looked over his shoulder and said, "What's it looks like I'm doing? I'm pouring concrete." Then he noticed a third man who was smiling and whistling as he walked. "What are you doing?" he asked the third worker. He stopped what he was doing and said excitedly, "I'm building a shelter for the homeless." He wiped his hands clean on the rag and then pointed. "Look over there is where the kitchen will be. And that over there is the women's dormitory. And this here is the living room. And this here is the dining room," he kept on saying. Each man was doing the same job, but only the third was motivated by a larger vision. The work he did was fulfilling a dream, and it added value to all his efforts. Vince Lombardi stated, "I firmly believe that any man's finest hour, his greatest fulfillment to all he holds dear, is that moment when he has worked his heart out in a good cause and lies exhausted on the field of battle, victorious. We have a dream. We are not just spectators sitting back, hoping that everything turns out right. We are taking an active part in shaping the purpose and meaning of our lives. Our dream, when pursued, is the most likely predictor of our future. That doesn't mean we have any guarantee, but it does increase our chances for success tremendously. Dare to dream and act on the dream. Do it in spite of problems, circumstances, and obstacles. History is filled with men and women who faced adversity and achieved success in spite of it. For example, the Greek orator Demosthenes. He stuttered. The first time he tried to make a public speech, he was laughed off the whole rostrum. But he had a dream of being a notable speaker. He pursued that dream and grew towards his potential. It is said he used to put pebbles in his mouth and practice speaking over the sound of the crushing surf at the seashore. His persistence paid off. He lived his dream. He became the greatest orator of the ancient world. Others dare to dream and become successes. Napoleon, despite humble parentage, became an emperor. Beethoven brought to his inner vision for music when he composed symphonies even after he lost hearing. Charles Dickens dreamed of becoming a writer and became the most read novelist in Victorian England despite being born into poverty. Oliver Wendell Holmes noted, "The great thing in this world is not so much where we are, but in what direction we are moving." I hope from today onwards you will also follow your dreams. Thank you so much for listening. Have a great day.